So we just did our first CBCS unboxing, and we had a ton of comments come through, okay? A ton of opinions, a ton of responses. And so what I wanted to do was make a video kind of talking about some of the comments, responding to some of the questions on there. And I really think we're starting to see CBCS pushing to be a real push right now to be a market equal. So hit the like button while the intro plays, and let's talk about it. So ultimately, at the core of this video, I was really surprised to see the amount of people really intrigued or interested in kind of swapping over to CBCS, because all you hear about are CGC being the greatest thing in the world, or, you know, there's no way I'd give somebody an opinion, pay somebody to give an opinion on my book. And I get both of them, right? But there are a ton of people that are saying, I am absolutely a fan of CBCS, or I'm going to try CBCS. So I want to talk about some of these. And some people had some questions, and I'm hoping maybe, you know, we can crowdsource the answers a little bit here. So a lot of people are saying they're really digging the new CBCS case. I'll be honest with you, I do prefer CBCS cases after holding a couple in my hand over the new CGC cases, bar none. I know people kind of gave me some fun in the comments about me saying I'm going to torque the cases. In the way it came out, it sounded like I was saying torquing it. I'm not torquing anything, I promise you guys that. But yeah, the people are saying Vincent, ComiKon, Hairless Wookie. A lot of people are saying the CBCS cases are growing on me, and they absolutely should, because they don't have the Newton rings. They were really tough. And as far as scratches, that's something I'm going to do a little bit more looking into, but they're, in my experience, they're about as bad as getting scratches as CGC cases are. Now, here's an interesting comment. One I did want to definitely highlight is from Tom Green. Based on the notes, and these grades seem accurate. Okay, I agree. I do feel like CBCS grades a little bit harsher than CGC, and a lot of people also had that same exact sentiment in the comments. They said, you know, their opinion was that they've heard CBCS grades a little tougher, just like Vincent McLean says it, and then Tom Green mentions it here. We only have 7 graders on staff. I don't know if that's true or not, and that C. Brock looks at almost every book that comes through except modern. Again, I don't know if that's true or not, so I can't corroborate that, but if he does know this, then that's great, right? I mean, you're talking Steve, I believe, is the head grader from CGC, you know, early 2000s, started CBCS. So if he's touching every book, that makes me a little more comfortable with things, because, again, he does seem to have a pretty good reputation. And I'll tell you, based on the grader notes I received and really looking into the books, it's a fair grade. I mean, let's be realistic. Now, what I will tell you, CGC in my history, I've held them in my hand, and Dustin has one right now that I looked at it, he looked at it, a couple of people at the comic shop, including the comic shop owner, looked at it, that's been doing it for a long time. Both said 8.0, 8.5 max. This thing comes back at 9.8. We're talking a ton of spine ticks, right? The corners weren't that great, and it's a 9.8. If that book is a 9.8, my Star Wars #1 and 42 that came back are a 10.0, and that 6.0 Star Wars 68 that came back, that's like an 8.5, 9.0, you know, CGC. But not to harp on that, but I will tell you, I in my experience so far, I think CBCS definitely grades a little firmer. Manual brings up a good thing. Spine stress. He thought many books, especially Marvel, have the manufacturing defect, and he's concerned because he's focused on spine ticks, creases, corners, fingerprints, color rubbing. But manufacturing stress and small corner tears were not on his radar. To be honest with you, I'm not sure how CBCS or CGC takes that spine stress or corner tear into account, right? Maybe that's a difference between CGC and CBCS. Maybe CGC takes that into account, CBCS does not. That I can't tell you, because I don't know exactly. I've never spoken to any of the graders, right? So if you do know, drop a comment. Let's see if we can't figure that out a little bit. And again, a ton of comments about CBCS grading tough, which again, if you're buying a book and you really care about that grade, being exactly what it is, CBCS is, as they say, the clear choice, I think. But if you want a book to get a high grade just to resell for value, Bill says, how about cracking the cases, seeing the same books as CGC, and see how the different grades come back? That's something I've actually thought about, because I did mention I was going to sell those books, and I'm thinking really hard about doing that. However, the price difference to get something done 2-day or quick stream at CBCS versus the price difference at CGC it's astronomically different. And that's something I'm going to talk about in a little bit too on a different video. But that's something I'm really thinking about. So let me know what you guys think. Would you like to see that? Maybe I just take the 6.0 and send it to CGC, right? Because again, that cost is pretty high there. So LCS said, what did you think about cost and turnaround times compared to CGC? I will tell you, cost was much cheaper to get these things done quick stream than it would have been CGC. Turnaround time, it was fair, it was accurate. I honestly had no complaints, and I did talk about that a little bit in another video we did. I actually dropped a day after the initial haul, so go check that out if you did watch that one, because I did talk about that a little bit. So Brick Hunter says, a lot of people I spoke with says the new CBCS case has a cheaper feel and look plastic when compared with CGC. So there is definitely a bit of a difference. I do understand why somebody might say that. What I will tell you is I like the CBCS cases better because there aren't the Newton rings. It was much sturdier whenever I was kind of twisting and bending it and just kind of seeing what that looked like. And I know obviously most of the time these things are just going to go in a bin or up on a shelf or something. So, but there's no shake inside. There's no wobble inside. There's no Newton rings. And to be honest with you, I mean, it was a very clear case. The one thing about the CGC case is it almost does have like a blue tint to it. So maybe that's what changes it a little bit. But I definitely could understand how somebody sees that. But I will tell you, I didn't necessarily get that opinion whenever I pulled it out for the first time. Potential Hot Comics, the CBCS offer custom labels. Their labels could use an upgrade. So I've heard, and this is just a rumor, they're talking about or looking at doing custom labels. And I know their labels, people aren't a fan of it, but from what I've heard from CBCS, the response is, we don't want the label to be the focus of the slab. We want the book and the artwork on the book to shine. I get that. But at the same time, business mind, don't cut your nose to spite your face. I can't tell you the amount of comments. I mean, and they're all through this video. CBCS would just change the label. I would 100% go to CBCS without a doubt. So from a business standpoint, I get what you're doing, but hey, why not just change the label and make the money and make the people happy? That's my thought. Legion of Comics says, were there scratches on all of them or just the first? So it was just really the first one. There was like one small scuff on another one, but really the rest of them were all perfectly clean. Tony Miles says, in my opinion, CBCS grade's a little harsher. Plus, I've had 3 big books I sent to them came back damaged. Hulk 180, 181, Amazing Spider-Man 101. He talks about it coming back with a grid pattern and foxing on the back. A crease at the top staple on his 180. And Amazing 101 came back with color break and corner crease. Plus, it took 6-7 months books to return. So what I will tell you is if you send it off to get pressed, I don't doubt that. I would not recommend CBCS or CGC to press. And that's across the board. I just would not. I would find somebody local within the community, a well-respected presser. They're going to do a better job. I can almost 100% guarantee it. And you'd be supporting somebody in the local community and be faster and more affordable. As far as damages, I know what happens, and that absolutely is awful. And that's always a risk you run. But if we're going to talk about the good things about CBCS so far, definitely need to highlight some of the bad things. And just like CGC has a lot of bad things going on with quality control, but Tony, that's tough, man. And to be honest with you, like I would be so fearful about sitting in a Hulk 181 or something, especially high grade right now. I would almost like not do it unless I could go and like sit with the grader and just like take it from station to station to station. Like you guys don't touch it except for the grader, and I'm going to be there to watch it. You know what I mean? But that's just me. Nate138 said, from what I've been hearing and seeing, CBS is much tougher when it comes to grading, and he highlights the fact CGC has way too many quality control issues, and instead of addressing them, they raise their prices. And he says, no thanks, I'll take my business to CBCS. I cannot say I disagree with you there, and that's not why I'm not doing the same thing. Joseph Osborne crack, clean, repress, and send to CGC. So I did have them pressed before I sent off, but I'm thinking about sending that 6.0 to CGC and just seeing what happens. If it comes back like an 8.590, we know there's some shenanigans going on at one of the two. So Rob Langford left a pretty big comment here, but one thing I do want to point out is the free grading notes. 100%. 100%. I love the grading notes. You're going to send me a 9.0. I want to know why it's a 9.0 and not a 9.2 or a 9.4 or 9.6 or 9.8. They were very specific in that 9.0. I've sent off comic books to CGC, 8.5, 8.0s, 9.0s come back, no grader notes. Come on, guys. We're paying for a service. Just tell me why, right? I think that's pretty easy. So, and let's look at a couple of comments from the second video I posted about my honest review and my experience. So Jacob Barnowski says they offer cleaning and pressing service as well. I do believe so, but again, I'm not a huge fan of using that. I would absolutely go to a third-party cleaner and presser. I think you're going to get a better result if you do use a more reputable person, and it's going to be more affordable and much faster. I did do a video similar to that a couple of weeks ago. Chris Booth, just curious, why do you feel the need to bend and torque your graded books? Very strange. Drop a CGC or a CBCS books from 5 feet. Bet they both crack. I bet you they do. And again, man, I was recording that video like 12 o'clock at night when I was just kind of doing that. And I was like, hey, maybe one's stronger than another. Because again, I was just on the live feed, literally just goofing around, doing like this, not doing much. And I legit cracked the top of the case there. I was like, well, I'll just take the CBCS case and see if it cracks. It didn't. It doesn't really show much, but yeah, maybe. So Burke Family 54 Comics says CBCS has just been an awful experience for me. Words can't describe how bad it's been. And he talks about he sent off a bunch of books. They've been sitting there. He emailed. They said they were going to be encapsulated. Still haven't moved, and still hasn't gotten a response back after a couple of emails. And says he also has a friend who sent books back in November and still doesn't have them back. He's just not pressed. And if that's the case, that's absolutely awful. 100%. And I would absolutely, I would still continue to reach out and see how that is. And I'd love to see how it's resolved. You know, for me, my experience was a little bit different. I emailed, got a response back legit in 30 minutes. And if I can go back and find the email, I'll try to throw up on the screen here. But seriously, like within 30 minutes, I had gotten a response back. Very thorough response. I had no issues whatsoever. So honestly, at the end of the day, any company can absolutely screw something up. It's not a good thing, but it is what it is. And then he also says, my question for you, Nick, if there's two books that are same price, one CBCS and one a CGC, which one are you buying? It's CGC 99% of the time. That's why CGC goes for more. There's a 15% average difference in sold prices. Unless they're verifying a signature, I won't do CBCS. I just won't. Be honest with you, if I had two books, they're sitting there, they're the same exact grade, same exact book, I'm probably just going to look and see which one presents better. If there are absolutely no differences between the price, the way they look, like nothing, and all it is purely CGC or CBCS, after seeing the CBCS case, I'm probably just going to buy the CBCS case because I know it's not going to sit around and shake inside the thing, and I'm not going to have the Newton rings to deal with. You know, I just not. So to me, if the book is, if it's identical across the board, then that's just what it's going to be. Now, other people, they may absolutely go for CGC every time. There's a lot of people in the comments that are going to go for CBCS every time. At the end of the day, they're just comic books. And I think that's something we need to keep in mind when we're talking about the grading companies and stuff like that. You know, they are a service to the industry, to the collectors, but this is not a live or die type scenario. So just think about that whenever you're getting frustrated. Breathe a little bit and say, you know what? It's just comic books and grading companies and things of that nature. I'm going to continue to use CBCS. Until I have a big issue. If they don't, I'm just not going to grade. Just won't grade comic books because I don't like to really buy graded comic books because they're so expensive to buy them already graded. So Johnny Dropkick says, I enjoy your videos, but they always seem to drag on way too long. This could have been a 6-minute video. Guys, come on. I'm trying here. You know, no, seriously, I get it. That's kind of something whereas content creator and editing and things like that, you try to find where the story is and not cut it too short, but not have it too long, and try to make sure you're getting everything across without it being a very open the box, show the grades, move on, right? Trying to create that story, that relationship with you guys, So that's kind of what we're doing, and we're still new at this, but definitely appreciate the feedback. And he says, I do enjoy your content, but just being a critic. So on that note, guys, we're going to wrap this up. Thank you guys so much for being the best part of Two Brothers Comics. Like, subscribe, drop a comment. Let me know what else you guys think. We're going to continue the CBCS avenue, talking about it. I'm going to submit some more comics over there, see what happens. Guys, you're the best part of Two Brothers Comics. And as always, collect your way.